I never thought I'd be the one to expose my own sister and my fiancé in front of our entire family. But that's exactly what I did. And the moment those words left my mouth, I knew nothing in my life would ever be the same again. This is the story of betrayal, heartbreak, and the night I decided to burn every illusion to the ground. I'm still shaken as I try to piece everything together in my mind. It feels unreal, like I'm watching someone else's life play out on a screen. But no, this is mine. And every painful detail belongs to me. After my last post, I spent hours arguing with myself. Should I do it? Should I keep the secret a little longer? Maybe wait for the right time? Or should I tear the mask off once and for all and show everyone who they really are? Part of me was terrified. I knew that if I spoke up, my entire life would flip upside down. I would lose the man I thought I loved. I would destroy what little bond one had left with my sister. And my family. I had no idea how they would look at me after this. But deep inside, I also knew something else. I couldn't let them keep walking all over me. I couldn't keep pretending everything was fine while they laughed behind my back. So, I made a choice. And once I made it, there was no turning back. The first step was to call my mom. I needed her to know before anyone else. My voice was shaking as I told her I was breaking up with him. I didn't go into all the details, not yet. But I needed her to be prepared. She sounded confused, almost panicked. She asked me to explain, but I told her it had to wait. That we would talk at the family gathering. I could hear the tension in her silence, but she agreed. And that was it. The day of the gathering came faster than I expected. My stomach was in knots as I drove to my parents' house. The whole way there, I kept asking myself, what if I just stayed quiet? What if I let it go, at least for now? But then I remembered the messages. The cruel words. The mocking laughter. Them treating me like a fool, like I deserved every betrayal. And suddenly, the fear turned into anger. By the time I pulled into the driveway, I wasn't shaking anymore. I was ready. Everyone was already there when I arrived. My parents, my cousins, and of course, my fiancé. Or I should say, my ex-fiancé. And my sister. They were both sitting there as if nothing had happened. As if they hadn't spent weeks sneaking around behind my back. My mom quickly tried to pull me aside. Her voice was a whisper, trembling. Before you say anything, she said, we need to talk privately. But I shook my head. I couldn't wait any longer. Not when they were both right there, sitting comfortably, like they owned the room. So I walked straight past her. Into the living room. The room went quiet when I spoke. I asked everyone to listen. Their faces turned curious, uncertain. My sister rolled her eyes instantly. My fiancé muttered something under his breath, probably praying I wouldn't say a word. But I ignored them both. I pulled out my phone, and I started reading. The first words out of my mouth sliced through the silence, like a knife. I read their messages, every disgusting line. The jokes about me. The way they mocked me, saying I was clueless. The way they laughed at how I deserved it. And then the timestamps. Proof. Evidence that while I was home taking care of my daughter, they were together. Behind my back. My sister's face twisted with rage. She jumped up and accused me of lying. Her voice was shaky, defensive. But I kept reading. Message after message. There was no way to deny it. The words spoke for themselves. I read the one where he told her about my pregnancy. Without even asking me first. Without even talking to me. They laughed about it. They laughed about me. The weight of that memory still crushes me. How could they take something so fragile, so vulnerable, and turn it into a joke? My fiancé finally stood up. His face was red, his voice sharp. He told me I was overreacting. That I was too emotional because of the pregnancy. That I was imagining things, twisting the truth. And then he accused me of being mentally unstable. He tried to turn it all back on me. The gaslighting was brutal, but I didn't flinch. Not this time. He stormed out. Just like that. Leaving the rest of us in stunned silence. My sister started crying, her voice breaking as she screamed that I was dramatic, that I was exaggerating. She ran after him, tears streaking her face. But the damage was already done. The truth was out. My father sat in silence, his eyes glued to the floor. My mother, she looked horrified, her face pale, her hands trembling. And me? I just stood there, empty, broken, but free. In that moment, I knew nothing would ever be the same. But I also knew I had done the right thing. I had ripped off the mask. I had exposed them for who they really were. And though my heart was shattered, there was relief hidden in the pieces. What would you have done if you were in her shoes? Stay silent to keep the peace, or expose the truth no matter the cost. The room feels like it's vibrating with tension. Everyone is silent, their eyes darting between me, my sister, and my fiancé. The air is so heavy it feels like I can barely breathe. But I keep talking. I scroll through my phone and read another message out loud. This one is even worse than the last. It's him joking about how I'll never find out. It's her laughing, saying that I'm too busy being a mother to notice. Every word cuts into me like a blade. But I don't stop. My sister's voice suddenly rises. "Stop making things up," she shouts. Her face is red, her eyes wild, like a cornered animal. She says I'm jealous, that I'm paranoid, that I'm twisting everything to make her look bad. But the messages are still glowing on my screen. There's no denying them. I turn to her, my voice steady but cold. "You can lie all you want," I say, "but the truth is right here." And I keep reading. The words echo through the living room like thunder. Some relatives gasp. Others just sit in silence, unable to look at me. And then it gets worse. I reach the part of the conversation where he tells her about my pregnancy. How he knew before I even had a chance to process it myself. How he shared my most personal, most vulnerable secret with her, mocking me, laughing at me. My voice shakes as I read it, but I don't stop. The room is spinning, but I force myself to go on. Finally, my fiancé snaps. He jumps to his feet, his voice dripping with anger. "You're crazy," he says. "You're hormonal. You're just imagining things." He points at me, his fingers shaking. "You need help." The way he says it makes me want to scream. He's trying to erase everything, to flip it back onto me. But I've had enough. I look straight at him and say, "No, you need help, not me." For the first time in years, I feel my voice cut through his lies. He storms out. The sound of the door slamming shakes the house. My heart is racing, my hands trembling, but I refuse to break down. Not yet. My sister crumbles. She starts crying, her words spilling out between sobs. "You've ruined everything," she screams. "You just love the drama." Her voice cracks, but her anger only grows. She calls me selfish. She calls me bitter. She calls me broken. I stand there taking every word. But instead of shrinking, I feel something strange. Strength. Because for the first time, I know the truth is out. And no matter how much she screams, she can't take it back. She rushes out after him, slamming the door behind her. And suddenly, the house is quiet again. My father is still staring at the floor. He hasn't spoken a single word. His silence feels louder than anything else in the room. My mother looks broken, her face pale, her hands covering her mouth. I can see the disappointment, the shame, the heartbreak in her eyes. I want to cry. I want to scream. I want to collapse. But instead, I stand still, clutching my phone, the messages still glowing on the screen. Proof of everything. Proof that I wasn't crazy. Proof that I wasn't blind. For a moment, no one moves. It feels like the whole world has stopped spinning. Finally, my mother whispers, "Oh my God." Her voice is trembling, full of disbelief and sorrow. But she's not looking at me. She's looking toward the door, the one they both just stormed through. That's when it hits me. They're gone. But their betrayal is still here, hanging in the air like smoke that refuses to clear. I sink down into a chair, my body suddenly heavy. Every ounce of energy drains out of me. And all that's left is the sound of my daughter's laugh somewhere in the back of the house. The sound pulls me back. It reminds me why I did this. Why I exposed them. Why I couldn't stay silent. I sit there in the quiet chaos of it all, knowing this is the climax. The point of no return. The truth is out. And nothing will ever be the same again. If you were sitting in that living room, would you have stood up and read the messages, or kept them hidden to avoid the storm? The silence after they left was almost worse than the chaos itself. The house felt hollow, like the betrayal had drained every bit of warmth from its walls. My father didn't move. His eyes stayed locked on the floor. I don't know if it was shame, or shock, or both. But he said nothing. Not a single word. My mother finally sat down beside me. Her face was pale, her hands trembling. She whispered, "I had no idea." Her voice broke on the last word. And I believed her. I wanted to collapse into her arms and cry. But instead, I held myself together. Because even in that moment, I knew the storm wasn't over. The truth was out. But the aftermath was only just beginning. That night, after everyone went home, my phone started lighting up. It was him. Message after message. Sometimes he begged me for forgiveness. Other times he cursed me, furious that I had humiliated him in front of the family. There was no real remorse in his words. Only anger that I had pulled the mask off his face. My sister wasn't any better. Her texts were venom. She called me cruel. She called me jealous. She said I had ruined her life, ruined her reputation. Never once did she admit what she had done. Never once did she take responsibility. It became clear very quickly. Neither of them regretted the betrayal. They only regretted being caught. Days passed, and the weight of it all pressed down on me. I felt numb, exhausted, heartbroken. But there was also something else. A strange, quiet relief. Because at least the secret wasn't eating me alive anymore. I didn't have to play the fool. I didn't have to wonder if I was imagining things. The truth was out in the open. Ugly and raw, but undeniable. Still, the reality of what came next scared me. I was pregnant, and I already had a daughter to raise. The thought of doing it all alone nearly broke me. But I knew I had no other choice. That's when I called an attorney. Because I needed to protect myself. I needed to protect my daughter. This man had barely been supporting us financially even before everything fell apart. And now? I couldn't rely on him for anything. The attorney listened. She told me I wasn't crazy for wanting distance, for wanting protection. She reminded me that I had rights. That my daughter had rights. For the first time, I felt like maybe I wasn't powerless. But even with legal help, the nights were hard. I'd lie awake in bed, staring at the ceiling, replay every word from that living room in my head. My sister screaming, his accusations, my parents' silence, the way the truth shattered everything. Sometimes I'd feel completely numb. Other times, I'd break down in tears, my chest aching with grief. And then, in rare moments, I'd feel something close to peace. Because at least now, I wasn't living in a lie. My daughter was my anchor. Her laugh, her smile, the way she wrapped her tiny arms around me, she reminded me why I had chosen truth over silence. Why I had risked it all to expose them. As for my sister and my ex, I honestly don't know what became of them. Maybe they're still together. Maybe they turned on each other the moment the spotlight hit. Either way, they're out of my life. And that's all that matters. The whispers in the family started soon after. Some relatives asked questions. Others avoided me completely. I know my sister tried to twist the story, to paint me as dramatic. But the evidence spoke for itself. I had the truth in black and white. Even if people chose not to believe me, I didn't care anymore. I wasn't carrying their shame. I wasn't hiding their secrets. That weight was finally gone. The road ahead is terrifying. Single motherhood, pregnancy, legal battles. The unknown feels endless. But step by step, I'm learning to walk through it. I know healing won't come overnight. I know there will be days when I feel weak, broken, and alone. But I also know I'm stronger than they thought I was. Stronger than even I believed. When I look back at that night, standing in the living room, reading those messages, I realize it was the hardest thing I've ever done. But it was also the bravest. They can lie. They can scream. They can call me names. But they can't take away the truth. They can't erase what they did. And they can't stop me from building a future without them. Yes, it hurts. Yes, it feels like my world has crumbled. But sometimes, you have to let the old world burn before you can build a new one. And that's exactly what I'm going to do. For myself. And for my daughter. If you were in her place, would you ever forgive your sister and your fiancé, or is betrayal like this unforgivable forever?